Hello Internet, my name is Lave and this week I watched Ghost in the Shell, which is directed by Rupert, who also directed Snow White and the Huntsman and has the unenviable task of recreating the classic 1995 Japanese animation Ghost in the Shell. Now, I've owned this DVD for about 17 years. I bought it in about 1999, I believe, because my friend recommended it to me because he knew I loved The Matrix, and you can see how this film influenced it. I believe The Matrix only got made because of this. The Wachowskis pitched to the producers that they want to make the live version of this, and indeed loads of other sci-fi films have been influenced by this, from The Matrix to Avatar, and even more recent films like Ex Machina, which is one of my most favourite films ever. The point is, I had big hopes for this latest film. So this film is obviously set in the future and humanity has truly embraced technology. They use cybernetic implants to upgrade their bodies and their brains. And Scarlett Johannson plays the Major. She's the first human brain to be put into an entirely synthetic body called a shell. She works for a law enforcement company called Section 9. Now, in terms of the plot, it is different to the animation. It's similar and familiar, but it is different. Now, I don't want to say too much more because I don't want to give away any spoilers. I think you should go and discover it for yourself. But anyone familiar with the animation will be pleased to see that Batu is back. I think they got the relationship between Batu and the Major right. Very in line with the animation. I liked that a lot. Togusa also pops up, but he is much more of a background character, which is a shame, especially as there was room to explore his character a little bit more. Instead, they've inserted some other characters into the team at Section 9, which I wasn't crazy about. Literally, they have about one scene together and there isn't any development there, so I just questioned why are they even there at all. Juliette Binoche also turns up as a new addition or a new character. She's heavily involved in the creation of Major. She works for the director of the company, Hanka, who is the flattest character in this film. I think he's poorly acted and poorly written as well. He says some really corny lines like, "I don't think of her as a machine, I think of her as a weapon." Takeshi Kitano plays a more hardcore version of Aramaki, the chief inspector of Section 9. What I found really curious about his character though is that he speaks Japanese in subtitles, but everyone else speaks English, but they have conversations with each other without battering an eyelid. Now, I suppose you could argue that they explain that in one of the very early scenes where a character says,
"My 4-year-old daughter. The time it took her to sing that lullaby, she learned to speak fluent French."
But it's quite a flimsy argument and I'm not sure that I buy it. Why don't they just speak the same language? It is weird. Which brings me on to the elephant in the room. Now, this film has had controversy surrounding it since its conception because of the whitewashing of all the cast, and when I was putting this review together is when I really noticed it. Every prominent actor or every prominent lead in this is a white actor. The only exception is Takeshi Kitano, and even then he's not in it all that much. And with regards to Scarlett Johannson, I do understand the argument that she is good for the role. You only have to look at other roles that she's played where she's playing a character who is discovering her own humanity. Check out Under the Skin for the best example of that. But it is pretty naive to think that she is the only actress that could have pulled this off. I've been trying to think of any other actress that could have done it, and I thought of Karen Fukuhara, who played Katana in Suicide Squad. Similarly, I thought of Rila Fukushima, who also played Katana but in the Arrow series and who also pops up in the Wolverine. And funny enough, she is actually cast in this film as one of the robotic geishas, so I wonder if they ever had that conversation. Now, I don't want to get too sidetracked and political, but I do think that the argument is valid in this case, and I'm just saying that I would have really liked it if they'd have stayed true to the animation and cast a Japanese cast. But that's not the most disappointing thing about this film for me. The most disappointing thing is the fact that it's a watered down, simplified version of the Japanese animation with regards to the screenplay. The original opted for subtlety in its portrayal of the Major questioning her existence and losing her humanity. Whereas in this film, they've replaced it with a generic backstory, and the focus this time is on the Major trying to remember who she was. I preferred it the other way round. I think it gives the character a bit more mystery, and I think that's where my disappointment all stems from. Visually, however, this film is properly stunning. The CG and the world building here is absolutely amazing. It really does feel like a live action version of the Japanese animation, and that is where most of the fan service is being delivered. It feels like a real lived in world, and on many occasions they've recreated some of the scenes shot for shot. On multiple occasions I found myself nodding with approval. And the action, gun battles and fight sequences are all choreographed really well, apart from one which almost gave me an epileptic fit. But all of that razzle dazzle didn't really mean much to me because, as I say, it felt like they watered down the main story and didn't really explore it to its full potential. I hate to end this on a bad pun, but in my opinion they got the shell right, but they didn't explore the ghost to its full potential. So that's my thoughts on Ghost in the Shell, and pause the video if you want to take a closer look at my enjoyment tracker now. I have a feeling that people who haven't seen the original Japanese animation will think that this is actually a half decent action sci-fi. Half decent. For anyone who has seen the original Japanese animation, might feel let down as well. So thanks very much for watching my review of Ghost in the Shell. I really do appreciate it. I'm very, very curious to know what you thought about it. Have you seen the original as well? Tell me what you thought down in the comments. But in the meantime, thanks very much for watching, and if you can, give this video a like and don't forget to share the Lave. Ghost in the Shell. Subscribe.